Welcome back to Daily Decode, the place where truth meets clarity and narratives are broken down, piece by piece. If you're ready to dive deep into the most shocking, controversial, and jaw-dropping moments in American politics, you're in the right place. Today, we have an intense story that has not only divided opinions, but rocked social media and political circles alike. It's a tale of an insult hurled in the heat of debate, and a comeback so powerful that even the most jaded political watchers were left speechless. The names at the center of today's firestorm, Karoline Leavitt and Kash Patel. One is a fast-rising conservative voice, bold and unapologetic. The other, a seasoned national security expert and staunch Trump ally, known for his razor intellect and calm demeanor under pressure. What happened between them during a recent fiery exchange has become the talk of the nation. It all started during a panel discussion hosted at a conservative political summit. The room was charged. Emotions were high, debates were fierce, and the audience packed wall to wall with supporters, reporters, and influencers capturing every moment on their phones. Karoline Leavitt, once a press aide in the Trump White House and now a well-known media figure, was passionately criticizing what she called the deep state agenda and how certain former officials, even from within Trump's orbit, had, in her words, betrayed the America First cause. She didn't name names at first, but the tension on stage escalated quickly when Kash Patel pushed back on what he called a reckless oversimplification. Patel, who had served as chief of staff to the acting Secretary of Defense and played key roles in the Russia investigation narrative, remained composed but direct. He reminded the panel and the audience of the complexity of foreign policy, decisions, legal protocols, and the strategic approach needed to dismantle embedded government corruption. He wasn't there to play party games or win applause. He was there to lay out facts. That's when things turned. Visibly agitated, Karoline interrupted him. Her voice rose. The audience murmured. Cameras zoomed in. And then came the moment that no one saw coming. Leavitt, frustrated and dismissive, leaned toward Patel and snapped, "Why don't you just go back to India if you think you know better?" The room went silent. Even the moderator was stunned into stillness. Some gasped. Others looked around, unsure of what they had just heard. Was it a slip of the tongue? A moment of passion gone too far? Or was it something deeper, a comment loaded with the kind of racial and cultural undertone that has plagued American politics for generations? For a full 5 seconds, Kash Patel didn't say a word. He just looked at her, not with anger, not even with surprise, but with a chilling calm that only made the tension heavier. Then, in a voice that cut through the silence like a blade, Patel responded. "Karoline," he began, "I was born in the United States of America. My parents came here legally, worked day and night, and built a life through hard work and faith in this country. I didn't come from privilege. I earned every step. And unlike some, I don't use my background as a weapon. I use it as motivation to make this nation better." The room erupted, half in applause, half in disbelief. But he didn't stop. "There, you think patriotism comes from shouting the loudest or pointing fingers," he continued. "No. Patriotism is measured by action, by sacrifice, by commitment to truth even when it's inconvenient. When I served this country, I didn't look at who was white or who was brown. I looked at the flag. Maybe you should try that sometime." It wasn't just a clapback. It was a masterclass in restraint, conviction, and dignity. Karoline tried to retort, but the damage was done. The moment had already gone viral. Within hours, clips flooded Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Influencers were debating it. News anchors were dissecting it. Conservative and liberal commentators alike couldn't help but acknowledge that Patel's response was, by any measure, one for the history books. Even those who disagreed with his politics praised the poise and depth of his words. And for Karoline, the fallout was immediate. Her supporters tried to spin the incident, claiming she was merely telling him off in a broader debate about loyalty. But others weren't buying it. Veterans of political campaigns came forward. Former colleagues distanced themselves. Some even called for a public apology. But the bigger story was not just the insult, it was the light it shined on an uncomfortable reality. The fact that a South Asian American public servant could still be told to go back to India on a public stage in 2025 by someone from his own political party hit a nerve with millions. But Patel wasn't interested in playing victim. In an interview the next day, he addressed the moment with the same calm that stunned the audience. "When you come from an immigrant background," he said, "you grow up understanding what it means to prove yourself twice as much, just to be seen as equal. That moment wasn't about me. It was about what we tolerate in our discourse. If we keep letting people question each other's loyalty based on where their parents were born, then we've already lost, and that struck a chord. Not just with Indian Americans, but with veterans, single mothers, young conservatives, and independents who saw in Patel something rare, a political figure who wouldn't be baited, wouldn't lash out, but also wouldn't let bigotry slide. It forced a moment of reckoning inside conservative circles. What does it mean to be American first? Is it about skin color, accent, ethnicity, or is it about values, service, and love for the Constitution? For many, Patel answered that question without saying it directly. Support poured in. Hashtags like #Kash stands strong and #American first, not skin first, trended. Prominent figures from both sides issued statements of support. Even former President Trump, in a post on Truth Social, reportedly reached out to Patel privately, praising how he handled the situation. Meanwhile, Karoline's team went into damage control. She released a statement saying she regrets any misunderstanding and that her comments were misinterpreted. But for many, it was too little, too late. The video clip doesn't lie. The words were clear, the tone unmistakable. It was a harsh lesson in political optics and in basic decency. But this isn't just about a viral moment or political fallout. This is about what America is becoming. In a time when polarization is at its peak, and identity politics dominate the headlines, the Patel-Leavitt clash showed that character still matters, that composure under fire can still win the day, and that even in the most hostile settings, dignity is more powerful than insult. Kash Patel didn't just defend himself, he defended the principles that this country is built on: merit, respect, and equal opportunity. And he reminded millions of Americans watching that no one should ever be told they don't belong, especially in a country where belonging is the very foundation of freedom. This isn't the first time racial undertones have poisoned political dialogue, and it won't be the last. But what matters is how we respond, whether we allow them to define the debate or reject them with the full force of moral clarity. Karoline Leavitt may have thought she was scoring political points, but in reality she exposed a rot that still lingers beneath the surface of political rhetoric, a rot that needs to be called out not just by those who suffer from it, but by everyone who claims to stand for unity and strength. And Patel, he may not have planned to make headlines, but his words did more than silence a room. They sparked a conversation that America sorely needed, a reminder that heritage is not a weapon, that patriotism isn't a punchline, and that strength is shown in how we respond to weakness, not with rage, but with resolve. So what comes next? Will Karoline Leavitt take accountability? Will others in her party call this out or look the other way? Will this moment spark a real conversation about inclusion within conservatism or just fade into the next news cycle? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear, in that brief moment, with millions watching, Kash Patel didn't just defend himself, he defended an ideal, and in doing so, he left a message that America won't soon forget. If this story moved you, made you think, or opened your eyes to a deeper truth, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. At Daily Decode, we're not just here to report, we're here to reveal every angle, every contradiction, every truth they don't want you to see. Until next time, stay sharp, stay informed, and keep decoding. This is Daily Decode signing off.